Welcome everybody to the new Leblanc guide. In this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to climb and carry on Leblanc. I used to be ranked 1 Leblanc. I've played thousands of Leblanc games and I have helped hundreds of Leblanc players climb through my coaching. And in this video today, we're going to be covering who Leblanc is and how she actually wins games. We're going to talk about her runes and build, and we're going to explain in detail why we take certain setups. We're going to talk about how to lane and trade as Leblanc with, of course, an example. We're going to talk about how to play the mid game and how to play Leblanc's macro with, of course, an example. And then there's going to be 2 live game examples in which that I commentate over my gameplay. And all of these things that I talk about in the theory section will then be shown and explained in really unique specific game situations, and I really recommend that you guys check that out after checking out the theory, because that's going to allow you to see how it actually looks in practice, so it's a lot easier for you to then apply that yourself in your own games. So let's kick it off with champion identity. Leblanc is your classic AP assassin. She wins the game by taking control of her lane. She's one of the strongest traders in the game, and by taking good quality trades, she can take control of the lane. And she then expands that lane control into different parts of the map, gets leads, looks for skirmishes in which that she can create number advantages. Leblanc has an immense amount of mobility. So if you combine strong laning with mobility, you get lane control and the ability to force plays on number advantages or affect side lanes. And we then want to play out the mid game by taking advantageous fights, or fights where we can abuse the fog of war, where the enemies are getting then running towards us, and we can then get access to key enemy targets using the fog of war, using good angles to then find one shots or big chunks and put a lot of pressure onto the enemies by then forcing one-shot threats, basically. So a few key traits that Leblanc has is she has insane mobility, and that gives her basically unlimited options in how she wants to be playing out the macro, but also skirmishes. Okay, this makes Leblanc really hard. Like really hard, because you can trade in many different unique ways. You can use the return part of the W to put yourself in interesting positions. You can fight very interestingly with the amount of mobility that you have. You have easy key target access, but the mobility is also stationary mobility, right? So while you're in your dash, you cannot really do anything else besides just flash. So it means that you're also quite vulnerable, and it's pretty hard to make like optimal use of her kit. It's going to take you thousands of games to truly get good at this champion. Since this champion has unlimited options in how she wants to be playing out the game, we need to utilize our lull states, which is the downtime in the game, to gather information on what the highest quality play is. And if we can do that consistently, that's when we're going to find success with Leblanc. What I see with a lot of players in my coaching sessions is that they are really good at getting ahead as Leblanc, and they're really good at trading, and they understand how to use the spells. But then once we run into mid game, or one of their side lanes is losing, they just don't know what to do anymore. They just get stun locked. There's too many options. They take a shit play. And we've all experienced it if we've played Leblanc before, but one death can be the difference maker between you winning and losing the game. You dying once can immediately mean game over. If you feel like you cannot make a single mistake on this champion, you are right. That is the reality of Leblanc. She's an AP burst assassin. That means that she's a threshold champion. If she can get the kill onto the enemies and break through the thresholds, she's immensely powerful. If you're not strong enough, because you just fed someone 800 gold and they just bought a no magic mantle, or like 2 no magic mantles or a Negatron cloak with it, you're cooked. It's over. But the beauty about LeBlanc is that she has the agency. And that's what a lot of people really like about LeBlanc. You losing the game is in your control, okay? Yes, it's only one mistake that you can make, but it's your mistake, and you can learn from that. And that's what a lot of people like about this champion. So we are extremely squishy, like next level squishy. And we need to go in to get our damage off with our W, right? And potentially our RW as well. And that means that we need to get incredibly good at identifying the proper windows for us to go in. But we also need to get really good at preserving our HP, because the moment we drop low, we cannot really jump in without instantly getting one shot. There's a lot of information to gather. There's a lot of creative positioning that needs to be done. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard to make the most out of this kit. You have a long cooldowns, especially in the early game, so you're going to really need to be playing with your turns. You're going to get specific turns to trade. If you do not make use of these turns, or you mess up your spell usage or your trades, you're immediately cooked, and then you're going to get absolutely blasted by the enemies. The way that I like to view Leblanc is the sniper mindset. And you are lying in the desert, you got a few terrorists running around, and you've got a few bullets left, and you need to hit every single one of your bullets. Otherwise, you're going to die yourself. That's like the mindset that you want to get in. So every single one of your spells needs to be used with intention and needs to get high value. And otherwise, you're going to be cooked, and your champion just basically gets stat checked with a lot of other champion in the game. Crazy analogy, I know, but that's what helps me win the games on LeBlanc. And that's really what it's all about, right? So let's break down Leblanc's runes and why we take them. Leblanc is a burst-oriented assassin. She works with thresholds. She trades very burst-heavy. And the best rune that fits with our identity, therefore, is Electrocute. We're going to take Electrocute 100% of the time. It's always the best rune on Leblanc. It deals an immense amount of damage. It's really easy to proc in the lane and trade onto the enemies. And it helps you with finding these all-in kill angles in the mid to late game as well. So Electrocute, really insane. What we're also going to see that in the laning section is that we're going to trade very actively around our Electrocute, and that's going to allow us to take good quality positions where we can get lane control. We are also going to grab Sudden Impact because it's just insanely OP with the burst power and with the trading that we're going to have. Leblanc wants to trade around her W. Guess what? That means that this true damage from the Sudden Impact is really easy to proc. Matter of fact, we don't even need to land our W to proc the Sudden Impact. We can also just auto-attack after our W and it will already be proccing this. So this helps us massively with our identity as well. When it comes to the third rune slot here, this one is up to preference. You can take Sixth Sense, you can take Grizzly Mementos. I don't really recommend Deep Ward because eventually you want to swap the Sweeper. But I think that if you're the average League player, you should do Grizzly Mementos because it just lowers your Trinket cooldown, and that's always going to be good for each situation. If you're like a sophisticated League player and you feel like you can run a Sixth Sense properly, do Sixth Sense. That's also totally fine. This is just a generally whatever slot, in my opinion. Now, the fourth slot is actually quite interesting because the average LeBlanc player actually goes Ultimate Hunter. And Ultimate Hunter, let's just break it down, is a great rune for LeBlanc because she likes to trade around her ultimate, and her ultimate is part of her ability to be able to one-shot someone. So Ultimate Hunter, nothing wrong with that. Great rune. I personally like Treasure Hunter because LeBlanc is a threshold champion, and I much more value my getting to those thresholds faster by, for example, getting 1 or 2 extra kills that will then allow me to get, for example, an extra amp tome, or allow me to actually buy that Dark Seal while I otherwise don't get it. And that then allows me to hit those thresholds and actually put threat onto the enemies and potentially look for kills or one-shots. I don't have that with Ultimate Hunter. Ultimate Hunter is like extremely good if you're already at those thresholds. But for you getting to those thresholds consistently, I personally prefer Treasure Hunter. And it's helped me snowball a lot harder and faster on LeBlanc. But once again, if you prefer Ultimate Hunter, totally fine, nothing wrong with that. When it comes to the secondary runes, right? This is a bit of an interesting one. I personally recommend Transcendence. Why do I recommend Transcendence? Transcendence is really good on LeBlanc because we don't generally get a lot of haste in our build. We get Luden's haste, and that's about it. So the value of haste is actually incredibly high if you are not running that much haste in your build on a threshold champion, for example, like LeBlanc. So this has been really valuable for me because also if you kill someone, which you do very often, the remaining cooldown of your basic abilities then gets reduced. And that is just absolutely fantastic for us because we can get a kill and then get a W back up and we can then jump away and save ourselves. This rune has saved me in many different occasions. Really good rune. I take it even over Absolute Focus, even though the Absolute Focus is a great rune in lanes where you don't drop low, for example, melee matchups, because then your thresholds are even higher. But I found my success on LeBlanc always with just running full Transcendence. And Scorch is insane because of the early game trading power, and of course, it helps you with those extra thresholds as well. Sometimes the difference is between killing someone or not. It's just Scorch. And your trading patterns in lane can get really funky with Electrocute, Sudden Impact, and Scorch. It can get very bullshit, in my opinion. There's a lot of LeBlanc players running Mana Flow Band. The truth is, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think you need Mana Flow Band as LeBlanc. We run Ludens in the early game. We're going to get to the item section in a bit. So I don't think you need to opt in for Mana Flow Band in the runes. If you're not running Ludens, then of course you need Mana Flow Band. But there's good reason why LeBlanc needs Ludens, and we're going to get to that in a second. When it comes to these runes, right? Some players will take the adaptive one on LeBlanc. You should not. You should always take attack speed on LeBlanc, because you're going to be weaving in a lot of out attacks in your trades. Out attacks are part of your trading combos due to the fact that you want to be proccing Electrocute consistently, and this will save you a lot of time, sometimes standing still and getting that Electrocute proc or not. So we're going to do a WQ out attack or QW out attack trading combo a lot. Sometimes we just W forward and then out attack Q out attack, and that attack speed chart makes a massive amount of difference. And I personally like go flat HP because it's going to allow me to put even more pressure into the early game. And since we're such a snowball heavy champion, this is generally the rune page that I'm opting in every single game for. So if you get as excited about LeBlanc as I do and you're serious about climbing and improving on this champion, I recommend that you check out the link in the description, which leads to WTL, the We Teach League coaching program, of which that I am a part of and a coach of. And I just released my fully extensive, in-depth LeBlanc guide on this program, in which that we cover everything you need to know about LeBlanc to climb. In-game related stuff, combos, small tidbits that you've never seen anywhere else, but also psychology and mental related stuff in regards to this champion. If you're honestly, if you're looking to climb LeBlanc, this is an absolute no-brainer. It also includes coaching, all included. So check the link in the description, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of this guide. Peace out. See you guys there. So let's move on to the itemization of LeBlanc. And we're going to start with the early game itemization. The number one item that I want you guys to buy every single time on your first reset is the Dark Seal, okay? Dark Seal is completely overpowered on LeBlanc. The reason why that's the case is because it's very easy for us to snowball and rack up kills to stack it up, but it's also a really flat damage heavy item. It has really high base stats. It gives you HP, which is good because it helps you with trading. And it gives you AP, which is good because it helps you with trading. And then it also gives you the option to, of course, stack up stacks on it. And then you're going to be really stacking the AP. And that's where the value is really coming from. Base stat wise, it is already worth on 0 stats to buy this. And you need to get it as early as possible because it's going to massively help you with the trading. We're also going to go refillable potion because LeBlanc resets a lot. We're going to be trading a lot, and you want to stay high HP, otherwise you can't go in with your W. So refillable potion, Dark Seal is something that I'm going to be getting almost every single time on my first base. Then, I'm going to be rushing Lost Chapter as soon as possible. We're not running a mana rune in Mana Flow Band, so hence Lost Chapter is key to get early. And always try to like weave in a tier 1 boots. Tier 1 boots gives you move speed, which makes it easier for you to get a lot of resets off and get to lane faster. It helps you space the enemies and dodge their spells, and therefore stay high HP. It also helps you that if you see a roam play onto the map, that you can then move there faster without them being too late. Do keep in mind that if you play versus a melee champion in which that the value of move speed is pretty low because they don't have any skill shots, it's easy to immediately rush chapter. If you're playing versus a skill shot mage like Seraph, get your boots before the chapter. So that's basically early game itemization. Then, we're always going to be running in for Ludens. Why is Ludens so good on LeBlanc? It has two main benefits. Number one, we're going to be isolated in many different cases. So the active from the Ludens, the passive from the Ludens is actually really valuable because it helps with the burst that we can deal. And we then get the full Ludens burst, and then the value of Ludens is actually pretty decent. Not only that, the Ludens passive also massively helps us with wave clearing, and that is if we run a different item, sometimes going to be quite hard to do. So Ludens is therefore like one of my, it's just my item that I always run on LeBlanc. I've tried no Ludens because of course the mana items, you're investing in mana, but LeBlanc needs a little bit of the mana and we don't take the Mana Flow Band, and that makes up for it. So Ludens, we're going to run it every single game. Then we're going to opt in an ideal case, in 90% of the games, right, we're going to opt in for double pen builds, double flat pen builds. And of course, we're going to do that with Sorks, right? Sorks is giga OP on LeBlanc because of how much extra damage that you deal. You're a threshold champ. And then we're going to opt in for double pen builds. And my mindset is, if I can get a needlessly large ward, I'll build Shadow Flame first. If I can't complete a needlessly large ward, I'll build Storm Surge first. That's it. But I'm going to try to build both of these after each other. And the moment you reach your 2-item spike, that's when you basically can 100 to 0 almost anyone. So let's talk about boots, and before we continue with the build, and when do we actually not build this? So we do not go for double flat penetration if we are forced to play into high magic resist targets. So maybe you have multiple AP targets on your team, and the enemies then are building a lot of MR. That's when we're actually going to do either Void or Crypt Bloom second item. And we're also not going to do this flat penetration funny stuff if we're forced to opting to go for mercs instead of going for sorks. You got to keep in mind that as much damage as possible is what you want to buy. You ideally don't want to buy defensive. You only do defensive when you absolutely have to, because the enemies have like too much CC to even like fucking shit. You can't actually do anything. For example, if it's like Leona plus Lissandra mid, and then they got like some Cho'Gath top or something like that. You have to go mercs, otherwise you're gonna be useless, right? But in ideal world, we go sorks every single time. The more damage we can rack up, the better it is, because we're gonna reach those thresholds earlier. So let's continue, right? If you go mercs, you also don't go this. You go like Ludens into like Crypt Bloom or Void, and then you can do a Shadow Flame third. That's okay. That's when you're gonna get a little bit more value from it. But what you're going to see that I do in all my Leblanc games, I do Ludens into double pen, into even more aggression on fourth item slot, which is going to be then either Rabadons if the enemies are not building MR. If they're starting to build MR, like serious MR, I'm going to go Void or Crypt Bloom. Crypt Bloom value is good on Leblanc because, once again, we're not getting that much haste. And if the enemies are stacking a lot of MR, we can't really do a one single rotation onto them anyway. So then the value of haste is a little bit higher, so that we can get a second rotation off, and it's easier for us to then play. So that's my mindset there. There's a few more things I want to talk about. When do we actually go sorcery shoes? Personally, I want to get sorcery shoes ideally after my Ludens, okay? But there is going to be some cases where we're going to be forced to get sorcery shoes early because the Ludens, we can't properly complete it, or we don't properly have the money, or we already get a really early quest. That's when the sorks value is actually really high. That's why you can do early sorks. But in the ideal world, you rush Ludens ASAP, because it's going to make it easier for you to get access to the wave, and it's going to make it a lot easier for you to then move on the map. So ideally, I get my Ludens as soon as possible. Also, keep in mind that your trading pattern with Ludens becomes bollocks versus some champs, because you can just literally W forward, not even land the W, and then you can just out attack Q, and you proc Scorch, sudden impact, and your Ludens active plus the Q is just ridiculous. You deal 300 damage to them. It's just unskilled as fuck. But if it works, it works, you know? Mage-Eyes. Mage-Eyes is incredible into LeBlanc, but you gotta make sure that if you run Mage-Eyes and you die, you're cooked. So I definitely run Mage-Eyes a lot, but I make sure that if I play with Mage-Eyes, I'm really playing with the mindset of making sure that I don't get myself killed. It makes it easier for us to clear waves. It's really easy to rack up, and you're very, very, very problematic the moment you get it. I rarely run defensive items unless it's the absolute difference maker between me being able to play a fight or not. Like, let's say they've got like Malzahar plus like Lulu, and the only way I can make sure I don't die if I W in is if I have Banshees. Then sometimes that's just the reality of the situation, you know. It sucks, but sometimes we really need to be forced to run into that. But generally speaking, this is my build. You're going to see that I'm going to be, especially in the examples, you're going to be seeing a lot of flat pen. And then in the live game commentary, which you definitely should check out, you're going to see a variation of this first build, and you're going to see a variation where I play versus more MR enemy champions, and I actually opt in for a little bit more early magic penetration in Crypt Bloom. And I explain my build process in those games as well. So check that out. Let's talk about the early lane on LeBlanc. And when we talk about laning, we talk about trading on this champion, because the quality of your trades is the quality of your lane. If you want to win lane, you need to be winning the trades. It's trades, 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 trades. So I'm going to teach you guys in the example how to properly trade on LeBlanc. But there's a few key things to keep in mind. You want to play around your W, and you want to play around your electrocute cooldown. When these are up, you are generally winning. You can, the moment you get your R, you can use it as a trading tool in lane to grab up lane control. You gotta keep in mind that if you trade even, generally it's winning for you, because LeBlanc has an immense amount of burst, and the thresholds to kill someone are very, very, very high. So if you put someone on the kill threat and they don't put you on the kill threat, it's generally winning for you. But you do want to play with the mindset to preserve your own HP, because you gotta keep in mind that you have to go in. You have to send it as LeBlanc, and it means that you're vulnerable if you're incredibly low. If you lose the lane, you are probably losing the trades. I have reviewed many of my LeBlanc lanes that I lost. And in all of these LeBlanc games, I was not understanding the matchup properly. I made many mistakes when it comes to trading, and that leads to me just being out of control for the rest of the game. The moment you lose your lane as LeBlanc, cut it. Next game, right? You're going to be piss useless because you won't hit your thresholds. That's the reality of these champion guides. And in your first 30 games, it's probably going to be tough. You're probably going to lose a lot of trades and you're probably going to struggle a little bit. But the moment you get over that initial hunch, that's when you're going to be in a position where you're going to get very consistent in your lane. You're going to win the lane a lot because LeBlanc is a very strong laner and trader. And then the mid game is going to be really hard. So yeah, LeBlanc journey has different stages. So the moment you get control of the lane and you've been winning the trades, you want to utilize the lull states in between the minion waves to identify your jungler's location, because we want to use our control of the lane to then expand that lead into different parts of the map. We are really good at warding and leaning towards the strong side, getting deep vision out, spotting out the enemy jungle, and creating opportunities in which we can like create number advantage fights, set up ganks onto your lane, dive sides. Like there's so many ways to snowball LeBlanc, but you need to actively look at what your jungle is doing and try to sync up together with them. Your goal as LeBlanc is to see if you can create a secondary win condition, because it's really hard for you to 1v9 on LeBlanc because you're a single target nuke and then you need to wait for your cooldowns again. So killing an entire team is hard. And that means that the secondary win condition is always nice to get, but you cannot ever sell yourself out, because the moment you fall behind as this champ, you cannot get prio anymore because you need to go in to clear the wave, and that's when you're going to get cooked. So there's this fine balance between playing to get other people in your team ahead while not selling yourself out and keeping up the control of the lane, and that is pretty hard. So we're going to be taking a look and breaking down LeBlanc's lane. In this example, I'm going to be playing versus Annie. The quality of our lane is dictated by the quality of our traits. So knowing that, what we're going to try to do in this lane is we're going to try to take good quality traits onto Annie. How do we do that? Well, we want to first and foremost play around our W cooldown, play around our electrocute cooldown. The moment we get those going, that's when we're going to be able to take good quality traits. We're going to need to set that up with the minions, right? The wave states and the traits, they're interconnected. They don't go apart, right? What we want to do is we want to grab up the slow push onto this wave state so that we can kill our minion, and then Annie needs to kill her minion, and that's when we're going to go onto her and trade. We can then also grab up the level 2 first on the next wave because we got a minion advantage over her. I'm going to try to stand my ground and grab up the slow push. So a big mistake that I see a lot of LeBlanc players make is that they over trade sometimes, that they trade at bad times. You don't really want to be trading at any single time. You want to try and kind of trade with the Punisher mindset. So you don't do it randomly. You do it on times where the enemies give you an opportunity. And the moment you can take those times, that you're in a really good, really strong spot. So you see that Annie knows that I need to last hit this minion right now. So she's stepping up aggressively to try and trade onto me. But she's standing too close to it so I can AoE her and the minion wave, granting me push and hitting her. And now I'm going to try to hit her twice to proc my electrocute. Unfortunately, the damage was too spread out, so my electrocute didn't proc. But that's okay. I still got a decent trade. As long as you're at least trading even, it's winning for you. And you see that I got more damage off onto her than she did towards me, and that puts me in a really strong position. So, knowing that the new wave is coming in, and you always hit level 2 on the first melee minion of the second wave, I'm hard nuking that first minion, so I can grab up my level 2, and I immediately W forward to then force a trade onto the Annie. I tried to do an auto attack Q auto attack combo, but my first auto attack got cancelled. Sometimes that just fucking happens. It is what it is. I didn't get the electrocute, but still, I got a really good trade-off onto this Annie, putting me in a very commanding position. You see that she's dropping lower and lower and lower, and there's no way for her to retaliate, because this was just so fast. She can't even out-attack me, right? You just W forward completely on your own terms. You can dictate your own trading timers. You got the agency to do that. And still, we have the wave push right here. We're just going to wait for our new cooldowns, and that's where we're going to be able to play again. And this is what trading on LeBlanc shall look like. I don't take that much damage in return. I deal more damage towards her. I do the exact same thing right here, where I W forward and I auto-attack Q, and I immediately W backwards, and I just take a small win-oriented trade where I don't take any damage, she takes all the damage, and I weave in a final auto-ticket there while getting all of the minions. So a very important thing to do on LeBlanc is to make sure that your wave doesn't get stuck under the enemy turret. That is a really bad wave state, because you can never W in, because they're too close to their turret then. So this is the wave state of death, and that's something that you always want to prevent. So you see that my wave 3 here went back to neutral because I pushed wave 2 fast enough. And that means that I can now use the space in the lane to pressure this Annie with my new W that's coming up real soon. I can then initiate trades again. So I'm grabbing up level 3 because we know that level 3 is the second melee minion of the third wave. And then knowing that I get the level 3 right here, I can W forward and get a nice little kill. So this was perfect LeBlanc. Just levels 1 to 3, perfect LeBlanc gameplay. Small misexecution on one electrocute proc, but this was perfect. So let's talk about this. You see that the kill thresholds are like immense, right? Immense kill thresholds. She's over 50% HP. What do I do here is I E-flash, and then I E-flash W. What happens is that a lot of people, they don't anticipate this. They don't expect to die from this range. So I E-flash W, and then I only Q, so all of my damage connects. And this is an overkill, by the way. She would have died with 100 more HP even. She would have literally died from 60% HP. This is the power of kill thresholds, guys. And if you know your kill thresholds like that, you're going to be in an immense position. So we got a beautiful solo kill into Annie. She also has Ignite, so I'm trying to push out this wave and then take a nice little reset. But Zac just had an amazing jump from Fog of War. Like, just perfectly placed Fog of War, and he kills me with it. Sucks, because my wave set's in a really bad spot. But it is what it is, right? Can't change it. Good gank by Zac. Well played. Okay, what do we see right now? Itemization. I went for Dark Seal, Amp Tome, Refill. Trade, trade, trade. Damage, threshold, okay? Think about this. If I go boots, completely fucking useless versus Annie, because, you know, she has no skill shots. So I just want raw damage output. We're going to take damage because we're going to need to get close to Annie, so we're going to take Refillable Potion. Dark Seal, strongest early game item you can go because of the flat stats. And Amp Tome because it's just nice. Another thing that I do is I get the Amp Tome here, which is going to make my Lost Chapter buy at 800 a lot easier to achieve. Okay? If you get Boots Dark Seal, it's way harder for you to get Lost Chapter because you then need 1200 gold to get that. And Lost Chapter is a really big spike. Now, you see that this wave state is giga awkward for me, right? So I want to see if I can get out of this wave state. I can't W onto the Annie because it's too close to her turret. My wave state was cooked because of the Zac ganking me. So let's see how I fix this, right? I take it nice and slow. I don't want to be bombing all my spells because then she can hold it. So I'm just taking it nice and easy. I'm killing all of these minions. And at the end of these minions, that's when I W in high value to kill the creeps, kill it fast. And then I look for a little bit of a trade with an electrocute onto Annie with my E. So I combine clearing the wave and getting out of that awkward wave state with trading onto her. I'm getting max value from each spell, right? That's my mindset. I'm not going just for like the wave or just for trading. I'm trying to combine everything because you got these long cooldowns. You have to do it like that. Otherwise, you're going to be in a really hard spot. So in this position, right, I want to grab up a little bit of a slow push again. It's a cannon wave, so I'm happy to play a little bit more aggressive with my W. So I W in the center of this minion wave right here, and then I look for a nice little auto attack Q. I could have probably also just held my spells and just played it a little bit slower. That would have been fine. I could have even potentially let the wave push towards me. Those are all viable options. There's many different ways that you want to play it. But I like this position. And what we see is that I slightly mismanaged the wave. I did a little bit too much damage to the minions, so I can't really properly use my spells onto the Annie, and we get into a little bit of this awkward wave state. Yes, guys, I'm not showing you guys a perfect example. I'm also making mistakes, and we can learn from that, okay? So, in this spot, I get myself a nice little tempo reset, because Annie reset, and I want to immediately match that base to restock my refillable potion, and we're going to immediately look to take good quality trades onto the Annie again. My goal here is to see if I can proc my electrocute and thin out the wave a little bit. You see that I do that with a nice W forward to kill the creep into an auto attack Q, auto attack trade. And I do that at a time where Annie was actually last hitting a minion, so that she can't focus me because she was queuing the minion wave. And that made it very easy for me to not take any damage in return. Small win-oriented trades. One of the key things that I like to do on LeBlanc is I'm not really a big freeze fan on this champ. Sometimes when there's like a lot of gank setup, I like freezing. But and I think I probably should have frozen it here because my Bard got a move timer. If I identified that a little bit earlier, I could have changed my wave state. But in this case, I decided to not hold it and still play for like the neutral wave state, which is trade heavy and slow pushing. But I think I should have held the wave here. And that allowed my Bard then to an easier time getting a gank setup here. My plan is to reach level 6, and then on level 6, I can actually go in. But a big problem is that I didn't properly communicate it to the Bard, and that led to a position where the gank timer was just really, really, really off. So that's kind of on me. I should have communicated that to my Bard. And now my wave gets stuck in this giga awkward spot where we see the wave state of death. And that's when we struggle trading onto the any. Thankfully, we can just avoid the Zac damage here. Always prioritize your HP, guys. You need to use it to dive in. So I, no hesitation, are out. Even though I lose my R cooldown, it doesn't fucking matter. Because of the fact that we're in a position where we keep our HP up because of that. Now, we see that the wave in this case is going to get slightly pushed in towards me. I'm going to get my R back up real soon. And this is a bit of a more held wave state where I threaten the enemy a little bit better. So this is quite good for me. And I bait out the Tibbers with some good movement. And yes, the Tibbers trades a little bit onto me. But it's totally fine because we got our ult out. And then I try to look for a little bit of all-in. You can see that the thresholds of Leblanc are insanely, insanely high. I should have probably gotten in one extra auto attack. I could have done that right here. I could have done one extra auto attack. Yeah, maybe I could have done one extra auto. But in the end, we barely don't get the kill. She lives with 1 HP. We hard push the wave. We get our ult. We get our ignite. And we're now going to look to see if we can continue taking control of the lane. So we have our R back up. And that means that we have a really easy time now looking for trades. So whenever you come into lane, you always want to jump over the nexus here. Because this is the fastest path to lane. Be careful, don't jump into the nexus. Sometimes you can like make mistakes, but jump over the nexus, okay? You really need to have your cursor on the edge of the nexus, on the other side of the nexus here. This is where your cursor needs to be. Look at my cursor. Over the nexus, that's when you jump over it, okay? That's when it works. And this also allows you to have your RW available the moment you come in the lane. You always want to see if you can get your RW available because it's the most flexible trading pattern that you can get. Think about it, okay? If you come in with RW, the way I can trade right now is RW, QW. And then I don't need to land any skill shots of my E to proc the second part of my Q. And that's then really OP. If I start with W, then the only way I can proc my Q is if I do QRE or if I do W, RW, but then I need to Q and then still land my E a different way. So RW available is the most powerful, flexible tool that you have. So we RW, QW into a perfect trade, right? RW, QW, giga overpowered trading pattern, guys. RW, QW. This is the shit that has almost no counterplay. You can always come back to then your initial RW location and make it very hard for the enemies to play. Now, Annie takes a bit of a reset. So I hold the wave set right here and I deny her a lot of minions. And now you see that I have my RW available right here. RW available. And what I probably should have done is I probably should have traded here on my RW QW again. And what happens right now is that I make a bit of a mistake where I try to fish for the E. And now I have an RE available. And my entire trading pattern of RW QW goes away. And I can't use that trading pattern anymore. And now it's way harder for us to trade because our Q is shorter range than our W. Because the W has a circle, it's a radius, right? So if this is the W radius, then it also has the extra ball on the edge that will actually hit enemies, right? Your Q range is only this. So you generally want to start your trades with W, and that way you can also return easier from longer range, and it's harder for the enemies to retaliate. That's only when you have your RW available, right? So this was a bit of a mistake, and now the trades are going to be generally a little bit harder. So you see that in the spot, the Annie is threatening me, of course, because she also has like her Tibbers back up, so I don't want to get Tibbered here. So I'm taking it nice and slow, and I'm just playing the wave state now, the moment I can't get a good quality trade onto her. Taking it very, very, very slow and easy here, because I don't want to get myself Tibbered too early. If I ever get Tibbered, it's fine. Then I just can nuke the wave, and I'm in an okay spot. Right here, it looks like she Tibbers me, and I just take a bit of a trade onto her, which is okay, because we trade even HP, and I still have control of the wave, so I'm in a pretty happy spot here, taking her Tibbers for free. And a good thing about Leblanc is that you can just kill Tibbers really easily, so that's nice. What we can see is that my team is in the meantime doing Dragon, and we have the Bard coming in. Bard, in this case, does God's work. It's very easy to set up ganks with Leblanc, and Leblanc does a great, Bard does a great job with the R into easy execute. We take the plate here, and we bait Zac into a very nice play. I don't flash just yet. I know I'm not in kill range just yet, so we get a perfect kill into the Zac as well. And now we have our Ludens, and we see that we complete our Ludens before our Sorcery Shoes. And from this point onward, we're going to start translating our lead onto the map. And the way that we're going to do this is by playing with our jungle, with our support, link up as a trio, and start making plays. We see that we want to do that ideally around neutral objectives because they're fight magnets, and we're really happy fighting right now. So what I'm doing in this case is I'm pinging the neutral objective to make sure that we start it. Jarvan's already on it. That's absolutely fantastic. And already ping the next one because I'm already thinking, let's play this next neutral objective as well. From this point, I don't really like freezing anymore. From this point, I really want to just play for priority and see if something happens on the map because it's really easy for Leblanc to execute on that. And we see that the enemy makes a bit of a mistake, right? And we get a really easy pickup onto this Annie because a little bit of CC, one slow, is already enough for us to just strike with our heavy burst damage to get these nice kills. So, quickly put, we QW here. We have the RW available. So we use the RW to then jump over the wall. And we chain it with an E. And then we get the Q proc with the W. And there's no way for it to escape. So really good spell usage here. We immediately nuke the wave. And we can get ourselves a nice little plate. And I see that I've got my Sorks available right now. So I could reset for Sorks. But in the meantime, I'm scanning for other plays on the map, right? Where's my team, everybody? Okay, my Jarvan's top just came from base. Bot lane is chilling in the 2v2, right? Warwick is top. Zex just jumped mid, so I know where everyone is. And I'm now kind of gathering information on the sides, okay? What's happening on the sides? What's everyone doing? I saw just with gathering info on bot here, that bot lane was full HP and Zex moving bot. So I can't gank bot because it's too risky with Jarvan top and Zex bot side. But I can potentially use my tempo to now gank top side. You see that Ludens is really, really nice when it comes to clearing the wave. There's many different ways you can clear the wave. You can either do it like this, where I QE the first minion, nuke it, get my Q back, and then I just W all of the casters into a one-shot. If you're not full 5 points in W yet, and you're not super strong, then you won't be clearing the casters with an instant W, and you need to auto-attack them all once first. Do that first before Wing then, but in this case, it's nice. We kill the wave. I see that bot lane's unplayable. I see the top lane's under the tower. So we move into top and we just end Warwick's game by diving him on the side here. Micro execution was a little bit ugly because I missed my W for some reason. Happens to the best of us. We do the RW, QW combo. The idea was good. Execution was not. And it becomes really close, actually. Like, it becomes a little bit close. So, you know, a little bit foolish execution, but it happens to the best of us. Even after thousands of LeBlanc games, you sometimes make mistakes. And from this point, you're so far ahead. I broke the top laner's mental, and from this point, you just automatically win the game. I recommend that you check out the example in the live commentary section later down the line, where you see how I translate this lead. I talk about all the mid-game fundamentals as well, so definitely worth a watch. And also talk about my in-game thought process in the early game. This is an example in the live game commentaries. Must watch. Really good example. LeBlanc's mid-game revolves around combining 4 key concepts. Yes, 4. And it's hard combining these. Number 1, using the side lane to create number advantages or picks. Yes, LeBlanc is a really good side laner. She is very mobile in the side. She can draw a lot of pressure, especially if you're ahead. She's very oppressive with the way that she can trade. She can initiate a lot of trades. And she's very mobile, so she can create number advantages. So side lane is a key part of our champions mid-game. We want to also play with our jungle and secondary win condition. Since that you got so many options in the mid-game, you can do whatever you want. You need to be hyper aware of what your role in the game is and what your win condition is, so you can play for that. Sometimes you need to count yourself out and play, for example, for a carry. If the enemies have a Malphite, you need to hover. It's just so many situations where that's necessary. But the most important thing to do is just always make sure that you're strong enough that you can at least get prio, so you can actually do this. Using the side lane is key. A strong assassin. You want to utilize neutrals as fight magnets, and you want to especially use positional advantages and tempo advantages and fog of war to find picks and get big chunks onto enemies to poke them or assassinate them. And that is probably my biggest strength. I'm really good at tracking enemy vision, getting into these nasty angles, and then striking with proper micro execution. You're going to see a lot of this in some of these mid-game sequences. I'm very, very good at that. We want to be utilizing the site to identify the next neutral objective and which side of the map that we want to play on. We also want to be utilizing our little states to track enemy vision, identify what the fog of war is, what the key skirmish timers are. And a big mistake what I see a lot of people do is that they actually go for low percentage plays. I'm going to have some examples for that in the sequences as well. I'm not perfect. I'm getting very close, but I'm not there just yet. But key factors identifying which side lane we want to be playing on are the side lane matchups. The goal is to try to get push so you can force people to respond to you and then create number plays. And strong side, weak side. So if you especially play with Ignite or without TP, then you need to be on the strong side of the map, because otherwise it's going to be quite hard for you to impact the fights. And LeBlanc is a fighter. You want to be around where the action happens. You want to utilize neutrals as fight magnets to create positional and vision advantages. And you can utilize the side lane to do that as well. This is in combination. Generally speaking, we combine side laning with moving towards our team and getting these positional advantages. That's the tricky part of LeBlanc's mid game. It's understanding when to be in the side lane and when to be looking in the fog of war for picks, poke, or grouping fights. That's the entire tricky thing. Where do we need to be? And the real tricky thing is, if you mess it up once, if you make a mistake, you get punished so unbelievably hard that it's extremely hard to recover from that. And that's what makes LeBlanc so hard to play, because she's a threshold champ. Because the moment you don't hit those thresholds anymore, then your options just start running away. Insane. The challenge. This is the most challenging mid game champ that I've ever played. Actually, it's the most challenging mid game champ I've ever played in my life. It's harder than Ryze, in my opinion, because you have so many more options as LeBlanc. It's incredible how hard she is. So take it as just a learning experience, guys. It's gonna be a good one. In this mid game sequence, we're gonna take a look at a classic LeBlanc game in which that we are playing versus Tristana. So overall, the game is looking pretty good. We're doing quite decent ourselves. We're pretty strong. Corki's doing pretty all right. Jungle's a little bit even, and top is pretty even as well. So the game is in a pretty decent position. Now, what we identify is that the next neutral objective is going to be the Rift Herald up on top side. I'm playing with TP in this game. And because my top laner just died to the enemy Hecarim, I need to catch the wave on top side. So I use my TP to get over there. And that's totally fine, because this puts me on the strong side around the neutral objective that's going to be happening. LeBlanc is a champion that wants to be playing favorable fights. She can either do that by using these neutral objectives as fight magnets, where you draw the enemies in when you have first move or tempo advantage or vision advantage, which you can then be in a position where you can create these favorable conditions, where you can kill people, poke people, or just get good fights going where the enemies have no information. And other things that we want to do in the mid game is leverage the side lane to force people to respond to us, and then we can create shove and move angles or create number advantage fights. That's like the key to LeBlanc's side lane. So I see that my Talon's on top side. Bot is still skirmishing on bot, so we don't really have much to do with them. What I do here is I go extremely deep to see if I can get some information on where the Hecarim is actually gone, but I don't really get any info. And what I see is that the Lissandra now TPs onto top side as well. I just get the wave out, and I see that my Talon starts to rift. So what I'm going to do right now, which is something that you like to do as LeBlanc, is you like to leverage the fog of war. So I'm going to be sitting in this pocket of fog of war, because this Lissandra knows that Rift Herald's up, so she wants to check or do something like that. And this puts me in a spot where I'm outside of the vision. So we do a really nice combo here. The combo that we go for is the QRW, which is the instant nuke. I want to catch her off guard before she can press the R button. Maybe she doesn't have R. She did fight just on top, so that's also a good option. But this is always just the best combo to go for the moment you get from Falk. And I go for the E at the end. You can also start with E, but this was just a great pick regardless. And this allows us to secure the Rift. And the first thing I do immediately is turn back into top to force them to respond to the top lane wave state. And this is going to allow me to get a lot of money, because I'm able to just push out top with 3 gribbies and a nice little big fat wave. And all I want to do is force people to respond to me, because there's no neutral objective up right now. So I am very, very, very favored in this side lane right now, getting myself a lot of money. I see that the Lissandra moves from mid into top. So that's going to allow me to now identify, okay, this is my time to reset, because I'm going to force Lissandra to respond to my wave state. So I push out top, and I just nicely base. Now, since the next neutral objective is going to be on bot side around the dragon, and I do not have TP up, I'm going to position myself on the strong side of the map. So I'm moving towards bot here, which is really good. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to push out the wave until my team is going to be contesting mid, and I'm going to help them set up the area around the dragon. I want to make sure I don't die, because I don't have any vision here, so I got to be a little bit careful. But generally speaking, I identify that I can push this next bot lane wave pretty safely as long as I have my RW available. You can just go in many type of directions where you can juke people. But I get the wave out, and I see that my team has no vision control around the dragon just yet. So I'm moving into mid here to help my team secure the mid prio. I really need them to get mid prio and then play into bot side. So I just make sure that we secure the mid prio. The moment we get it, I turn back into bot because my team can now pretty easily get vision control over there. And what I do right now is I just keep my eyes on the minimap, because if a fight breaks out, I will immediately move. And I see that there's a trash hook onto the Nami. So I immediately move over there, and I can impact the fight right now. Really good information gathering with my camera. I know where everybody is. And because the fight is looking pretty clean right now, we have perfect spell usage in which that we do an RW into WQE, and we get a beautiful double kill onto Brand and Hecarim, which allows us to secure the dragon. And then I'm immediately going back to bot because I want to keep forcing enemies to respond to my wave state. That's like the ideal way of going about it. So I push this next bot lane turret here. I get myself a nice Phalite vision, and this is a classic Leblanc mistake, guys. Okay, I'm gambling if I'm on vision or not, and it kind of is a given the way that Tristana plays, because she doesn't like face check it, but she guys like flicks back and forth, baits me in, and I die. This is what I like to call an overplay. This is LeBlanc classic. This is a one-way ticket to losing LP from the game. Okay, plays like these, I have them so often, and it's because LeBlanc can make any play in the game, but it doesn't mean you should make any play in the game. I've got 2.3k gold, right? I've got my full item completed. Next neutral objective is top side. I want to swap up the lane assignments with my Ornn. What the fuck am I doing here, right? This is just complete greed, not necessary, risky plays that you want to avoid as LeBlanc, and this is like very dangerous, like extremely dangerous. So I now deploy into bot because my Ornn is still on top side and I've got TP, so it's okay for me to be on the weak side here. That's totally fine. And my job here right now is to force someone to respond to my bot wave unless one of the enemies overcommit, and then I can use my TP to play for the fight here. So I'm very much looking at what's happening. I just kill the Trist with my W. I don't use any other spells, and then I use my RW onto the Trist here, RW onto the Lissandra upon the chain CC. I Q the Ezreal. I have the Lissandra chained. So this was perfect spell usage. I got the max value from all of my spells. And eventually we take the wave while my team takes the Baron. So a really good TP, very good lane assignments, really good awareness and information gathering. Now, one thing I do is I reset into the enemy bot side. So my guess is that the enemy Nami might be coming in here, and potentially I might be able to then fish and look for some kills, right? Because if I can prevent her getting vision, that would be absolutely insane for the game state. But this Nami is very disciplined, really smart, right? Giga smart by Nami. She doesn't actually run in. I sweep, I'm not on vision, right? So just really disciplined by Nami. And right now I'm forced to base because if she runs in, which she will, she is going to run in, she's going to get backup from a team. So I might kill her, but then I die myself, and that's not worth it. So what I do right now is I identify the next neutral objective, which is going to be Dragon in 3 minutes. That's a long time. So before that, I want to push out top first and play for the top tier 1 because it's pretty free to get. I've got my 3 items. I'm incredibly fat right now. And I'm just going to look to play into top side. This is also the time where I've opted into sweeper. I see Hecarim bot, Tristana and Nami bot. So I'm really safe here on the top side. I just clear the wave. And because I've got such short cooldowns right now, I can basically play the way that I want to. And whenever you find yourself in a 1v1 in the side lane versus an enemy, you generally always beat them. But you want to like kind of play in the ways that you like chunk them. And then on your next rotation, you have a kill angle. So the way that I trade onto this Lissandra is I trade with a W forward QRE. Now this kind of one-shots because I'm just giga fat, I guess. But this wasn't my plan to one-shot her. I just wanted to chunk her and then make sure that I'm always safe. Because if she ults me, I'm in a really awkward spot, right? So I can always then W back towards safety. So this was a really good combo, QRE, and it actually killed, so that's nice. So I keep pushing top. And my mindset here is my team just fucking ended on mid, right? This was really bad by them. Happens. I can't change that. I've got no R. I don't want to fight. Not all my bullets are ready. So I'm just keep pushing top. And eventually I get myself a nice amount of plates until someone responds. And that's when I just nicely go for the reset. Next neutral objective, bot side. So I'm deploying true mid into bot. And I'm now going to try to get vision control or set up a trap. I know that the enemies don't have vision yet because we were just sieging through mid and I've had very little time to actually set up a play. So I'm in the fog of war right now. I do another QRE and boom. I love this champion, dude. This champion is so fucking fun. So great play, and immediately turn into bot side, where I'm just going to be pushing out the waves until something happens, right? Or until someone responds, or until something happens, and that's when I can actually engage in the fight. So let's take a look at this fight here. What I do is I very intentionally stay in the fog of war, right? I don't move, and you see that Hecarim doesn't think about me, so I can do an immediately one shot with the QRW insta nuke. And for the rest of this fight, I'm just taking it nice and slow. We just do a nice Q onto the Nami, Q onto the Lissandra. I'm never putting myself in a position where I lose HP or put myself in danger, so I can always keep fighting. That means that I'm also just not brute forcing on the brand here. Makes no sense, right? Just take turret when it's free. Don't overplay like I did before. And we get this beautiful turret. And what I do afterwards is I make a very smart vision play. So I sweep and I immediately think, okay, right now I want to turn back to my W because my W is right here. And they don't see me if I turn back to my W because they think I've gone in this direction. But that, unfortunately, my W runs out, so I can't go there. So what I do instead is I act as if I go into top side. I pop another sweeper here, right? And I now know that Bran thinks that I'm on top side there, or the top side of the bot jungle. And because of that, I can now play the Fog of War extremely well. I gave him fake information, and that allows me to get this fantastic pick onto him. Really smart playing around the vision here. I push out bottom all the time to get myself the Rabadon's gold. I reset on Rabadon's, and now the next neutral objective is top side. So we deploy through mid into top side so we can play around the Baron. I see that my team wants to siege on the top right now, so that's exactly what we do. I just play with my Ornn here, and Tristana has a really sexy R, so she blocks me. Eventually the fight is like winning, so that's good. And what we can do is we can siege a little bit, and we're just going to play for Baron. I've got TP up, so I don't mind going bot. And the plan is just to force them to respond to me. And until they do, right, I am always having the freedom to just TP towards Baron if something happens. But nothing happens, we get the Baron for free. And in the meantime, I do some really smart sieging. I'm playing without full information here. So there is a chance that I might get collapsed upon. But I use this blue ward, so I'm feeling pretty safe. I also see that Tristana is stepping up pretty deep there. So the way that I siege this turret is by Wing forward, so I can always back off. And if they collapse onto me, I can do W back and then RW back to create an immense amount of distance. So this is very safe what I'm doing. I see that Brand collapses. I see that Nami is top. I'm gathering info. Lissandra's top. Great. Okay, that means I'm safe enough to do whatever I want. Everyone's top. I can just keep pushing bot right now. And that's exactly what I do. I just don't compensate for the fight. I don't TP because the fight was looking bad. Bad angle. Not on our terms. So I just take the inhib and I just back off into a reset. And then I immediately deploy top to see if we can cross map onto, to see if we can play onto the final turret. Or I can be on the weak side of the map with my TP, which I can TP towards the dragon, which is the next neutral objective. I see that the Hecarim goes into our jungle here. And because of that reason, I'm in a position where I'm going to collapse onto him. So the way that I do that is I wait until I have my R. Before that, I'm kiting him. And then I just do QW, RW without attacks in between. And the Storm Surge kills him. So really good spell usage. And I'm just deploying through mid right now because this dragon is extremely important. And one pick can be the difference between winning or losing this Drake. But in the end, what happens is that I get collapsed upon. I get chunked. Really smart trap by Trist. But it's no problem because I just TP back. And afterwards, we just win the game by just taking this fight in the enemy base. Very clean mid game. One massive blunder on bot side. Classic Leblanc mistake, which everyone makes. But don't copy that, but copy the rest. It was really good awareness of neutrals. Really good side lane understanding, forcing people to respond to waves. Really good understanding of tempo and pressuring through side. This was beautiful. All right, welcome everybody. In this game, I'm going to teach you guys how to win and climb on LeBlanc consistently. Now, a few things to note before we jump into the actual game itself. We're versing up against Annie. Annie is also a very strong trader in the early game, so we got to be a little bit careful with how we approach that. Of course, the idea of LeBlanc is the quality of your trade dictates the quality of your lane, so we want to take control of the lane by taking good quality trades, but it's going to be pretty tricky to do that into Annie. We also see that we are playing up against Zac, which is quite a tricky jungle to verse as well, because he's a tank, of course, but the good news is that we are basically full AD, and I am solo AP, and it makes it quite easy for me to build flat pen and get a lot of value from it. So this is a game that I think, unfortunately, I'm forced to go Mercs because of the point-click CC from Annie. I'd love to go Sorks because the Sorks value is, of course, immense the moment you're solo AP. But I think I kind of have to, otherwise Annie's just going to blast me with undodgeable spells, right? And our mobility doesn't really work into that. So The way we're going to approach the lane is brute forcing trades into any is going to be quite hard because of her E and because of the fact that she can point and click see me. So I'm just going to play a little bit more on the wave states. And the moment I'm in a good position or I've got good conditions around electrocute and she gives me the range, that's when I'm actually going to opt in for trades. We're going to move in quite quickly here and see if we can get a nice little level 1 ward out. Looks like this is good. Yep, well played, Jarvan. He does it for me. That's even better, because that means that I can keep it up. And I'm going to play for Prio and see if I can then use it afterwards. I don't think... We got to be careful of a level 1 Warwick invade. I think he 1v2s us. So I'm just going to stay mid. Yeah, I don't know which starting spell that she actually took. So I'm not going to brute force a trade, because it's actually losing for me. So I need to have more information. The moment she's got 4 stacks up. She's looking to be contesting me here. Okay, that's fine. We didn't proc electrocute, but her starting Q like that is totally okay for me. I got a high value W where I hit the wave and I hit her. So this was actually really good for me. I'm going to be able to reach level 2 here. Cancelled the first out tech. Otherwise, I could do an out tech Q out tech trade onto electrocute. But for some reason, the first out tech got cancelled. That's okay. No problem. We still took a good quality trade there. And we're going to do the exact same thing here. Where we do a nice trade while she is struggling with the minions. And we're slowly taking control of the lane with good quality trading here. Putting us in a really strong position. Now we're going to be reaching level 3 soon here. And if she disrespects, we might be able to find an all-in. Very nice combo usage right there. We do the E flash into instant W. That's something a lot of people don't expect. And we got a fucking red on our lane, boys. That's unlucky. That is, I guess, what Zach can do. No problem. Wave state is a bit funky. It's a little bit unfortunate for us, but I'm in a fine position still. I guess it was a little bit greedy going for that extra wave state. I just didn't expect Zach to jump from that far at level 3 already. Right? His range skills with levels, so it's fine. It is what it is. Let's focus on our own lane. She's got no refillable potion, so any trade that I take is going to be good for me, as long as it's even at minimal. So I gotta be a little bit careful. I don't know full info on Zach. I kind of want to get some more vision out at the bot side here. But I of course want to make sure that I hit my creeps. Okay, I need to get out of this awkward wave state. Proc the electrocute. I'm gonna move into top side. We already got bot vision here. And I'm actually gonna... I'm gonna ward this, because I'm gonna get a new one. So it's fine. Good trading. Pop the pots. We're in a very controlled position here. The only thing I gotta be careful of is Zach ganking me right now. Nice Q. Can't really do much more there. She might be basing here. No problem, she loses the entire wave for it. I'm gonna match the reset. So pretty decent. Pretty decent thus far. We're getting close towards our level 6, which is of course an amazing trading tool. I want to get an early lost chapter, because I want to play on range like that. I don't want to like brute force onto any, because then she can hit me back quite hard. That's something I'd like to avoid. So I'm going to get lost chapter, so I can get more mana, play on range. And I think afterwards I'm going to be forced to opt in for Mercs, unfortunately. It is what it is. Okay. Nice trade on a timer where she had no Q, so she couldn't hit me back. Really good small win-oriented trades. We're going to keep our HP high so that if something happens on the map, I'm always able to move. She doesn't have a refillable potion. I gotta be a bit careful here, because I don't know where Zach is. I am gonna get a gank from Bard. Oh, he went way too early. If he just waited until I reached level 6, I should have pinged it probably, right? Should have pinged it. It's okay. If he would have waited till I got 6 there, it would be Jover. She would die. Bit of an unfortunate way to use your ult. But it is what it is. We're gonna lean top side because Zek was spotted into bot side. Let's get out of this wave state. This wave state is so hard to play for us. We want a little bit more space on the lane. So we're just gonna let her take this minion. The earlier she queues it, the better. And I'm gonna actually just hold the minion wave here. I just want to drag it. I don't want these minions to get immediately blasted. Okay, now it's fine. Because she actually stays. The moment I have my R up, I can play the game here. I'm gonna thin it out a little bit. Baited out her Tibbers. Yo, can this fucker get off me? Why is it still on me? Wow, she lived that? I should have gone an extra auto taken, I think. I thought I would have her there. Bit unfortunate. We're gonna hit these casters. And by hitting these casters, we're gonna have the wave already be like thinned out. I missed the cannon, that's so unlucky. Alright, we're in a pretty good spot though. Like, lane's been going well. We're gonna look to translate this lead now. Play with the Jarvan, he's very strong. We've got this. And since Annie cannot really contest me on the wave state, I'm pretty happy opting in for control ward because it's easy for me to defend. I want to keep playing around my R, so now my R is up. I've got an RW available, and this RW is going to allow me to do one of the most bullshit trading combos in the game, RW, QW, out of tech. Especially if she doesn't respect it. So right here. Easy. Really effective trade, really. Not sure what's happening there. I think Jarvan's making the right play, full clearing. And because we made her low, right, she's now in this really awkward spot. She's forced to lose minions. She has no refill as well, so she's kind of forced to base. So really good trading here. Pretty happy with how I've been trading this lane. It's actually very good. We're going to now look to see if we can get... Okay, some more good quality trades out, because she's of course back to full. I can't let her Tibbers on my head. That's when I'm in a awkward position, of course. So I'm just gonna not trade and keep my HP high. I can use the slow pull to help Jarvan with... Honestly, not bad. We got half of HP bar for Tibbers. Not bad at all. Thanks for Tibbers. I'm pretty happy spot here. Ooh. I'm gonna wait for the Bard stun. Wow, Bard! Come on now. Well played, Bard. Oh, that's so good. I'm not gonna reset immediately. I'm gonna take a plate first. If he flashes, I'm fine. I'm not Wing in, because then I get CC'd, of course. So this was good. Ooh! Bard, the goat, dude. He blocked it for me. Alright, so let's see how we can now translate our lead again, right? We're gonna now start looking to play around neutral objectives. Because that's a very easy way of translating leads. In this specific situation, we're currently getting the grips. And after the grips, we're gonna look to play into bot side around Drake. We also got a bunch of treasure hunter stacks still to obtain. So that's something that we're gonna do. Oh, he's dead. Yeah, this is the problem into playing into Leblanc with more multi-threat on our team, right? It's so easy to die. This is the strength of our champion. We clear the wave. Do we go bot yet? No, we don't, because we don't have R. So we're going to take one more wave here, and then we're happy moving into bot. We got to be a little bit careful. We might want to move into top, because our jungle is there, right? But we actually have info on Zek now, so we can basically do whatever we want. Okay. I think I'm going to move into top and dive that guy. And there's also one thing you can do as Leblanc. You can just break side lanes the moment you're ahead. Don't dive him yet, dude. Wait for me. Uh-oh. It's fine. We butchered that. That was fucking disgusting mechanical execution. It's fine, though. The play is really good. We get a passive stack on the Treasure Hunter. And Warwick is just out of the game, right? Look how fucking tilted he is. You can just break sides as LeBlanc. You can just break him. Gotta ping the boys that Annie is coming. Okay, very good. Hard push this wave as well. Not sure what Jarvan's doing. He's gonna get collapsed upon. Not ideal. Yeah, that's not ideal. It's a big shit on the Jinx. Okay, we're just gonna be hitting. We got 3 grips, so it's very easy for us to just hit mid. We're gonna now get a nice ward out there. And I'm soon gonna look to swap until sweeper. My mindset is I stay on yellow ward if I want to keep pressuring through lanes, because it's gonna give me like information. If I don't want to pressure through lane anymore, I want to start shoving moving and avoid. That's when I'm actually gonna go into sweeper. I think I can't push the next wave because it's a cannon. Where's my Jarvan? It's doing the blue buff. Why? At least give me the blue buff then. Fuck, I can't even take it yet. Maybe he didn't have a smite yet. Maybe he just got it. Yeah, he literally just got it off that. That's... Could have maybe done it. I didn't know how much damage Bart would deal. She might still die though, because I've got my double... He doesn't kill me. Whoa. That's fine. Pretty good. We've done a pretty decent job CSing here. And we'll just break through mid by hitting it just like that. We're going to reset, so we're going to be on time for Drake. I'm going to mute Warwick. This guy has lost his mind. Oh, I went for Sorks. I didn't go for Mercs. Well, I'm a greedy piece of shit. I'm just a Sorks addict, dude. I'm just a Sorks addict. Okay, so we're just going to very easily translate this lead by playing for these neutrals. Setting up area, making it hard for the enemies to enter. We can always play like Gatekeeper. Or like sit in the bush and kill them. Looks like Renekton's just fucking eating them all alive on top side. I don't really have good anti-Renekton tools for this moment in the game. They need a bit more time. If they are respawning to top, I just have a really easy time just hitting mid, right? Let's collapse on bot. He might be dead already. Oh, we missed that, dude. She looks hella dead. Let's move back to mid. Thankfully, the R is not a skill shot. Gotta be a bit careful here. Gotta make sure that we block this Zek from coming in so we can secure the dragon. And now I want to move into side. Get my Yanara with the mid. We're dropping low on resources, so I'm going to take a small reset. And it's time to go to sweeper. And I don't have to go side just yet, because side's all the way pushed out. We can just literally start the Rift Herald here. We, of course, do need our Jarvan to come for that. Wow. Our Warwick just got... Our Renekton just got eaten. In that case, it's going to be pretty hard to play for the neutral already. And we might be able to just trap the Annie here, coming in. Trying to push this wave. I'm going to just wait here until Bart shows up. Well, that's your kill, dude. That's mine. Good enough. Okay. Let's push the extra wave here. If they get rift, it is what it is. I don't really care about that. I'm just going to make them respond to my waves in the side. Two ways you can play the mid game as Leblanc, right? Number one is you can play around neutral objectives, be first, set up traps to either get a good flank or get a quick kill, so you can create number advantages. Or you use the side lane to force them to respond, and then use your mobility to create number advantages on the map. That's kind of what our champion wants to do. Of course, it sounds easy. It is not. It is not at all. Leblanc is one of the hardest mid games in the entire game, due to the infinite amount of options that you have, right? It's really hard to decide what's the best one out of all the options. And more often than not, one of the plays that you're going to be making is actually hindering you from getting towards the W more than helping you. So we've gotten the deep push out. I think Zek's going to respond now, so now is my time to base. We're going to opt in for Shadow Flame. And then we're going to do Storm Surge next. And we're going to deploy through mid, because bot lane wave is all the way pushed out. Top lane wave, Renekton is going to get. And that means that opening up true mid is going to give me the most flexibility to move into a side and make a play. Because now is my play timer with the bot lane wave being this deep, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can like set up something here. Maybe Soraka's going to kill herself by walking too close. Doesn't look like it, so I'm just going to move into bot here. And just force them to respond to my wave states, right? Because they're going to need to show here. And the moment they do, I can either decide to keep pushing or move into mid. And I'm going to keep pushing right now because no one is able to respond because we have info on everyone on the map. That's like the mindset. Very nice. Zek might jump on me. Yep, we just WA. We're not even going to deal with this guy. We're just going to stay in the side and just play on the waves. Very good. Hard push this wave. Looks like we're rifting up in mid. That's nice. And after this, we're just going to play into top. We're not even going to get Drake. We're just going to play into top immediately. I don't think it's smart to siege here. The only way to lose is if we play this 5v4 here. It's a little bit risky. We might win it, by the way, but I don't think we should take the risk. It's not worth it whenever you're in a game set like this. The key thing to keep in mind with Leblanc is that one death can be the difference between you winning or losing a game, right? If I give this shutdown over to one of the key tanks in the enemy team, they might just carry with it. Very good. This will allow us very easily to take control here. I wanted that kill. Just for good measure. And also this was a really clean LeBlanc lane. Like just Very nice. Just really clean LeBlanc fundamentals. We got strong. We took really good quality trades. We kept our HP high. And we had good positions on the map in which we played very efficiently on the side. This was textbook LeBlanc. GG. Alright, so in this LeBlanc game, we're going to be versing up against Galio. Galio is a little bit of a tricky matchup due to the fact that he is likely to build tanky stats, and that makes it hard for us to, of course, take winning trades into him. A few things to note, right? They've got a Soraka top, which is probably going to play like supportive, or like maybe just a roams, or just minimize lane. In the end, it doesn't really matter too much. We're going to try to defend like the level 1 here, because of the fact that it's easy for me to deny his vision placement if I am early. I'm going to mute everybody. There we go. And the goal is to take very small win-oriented trades. The most important thing to do versus Galio is to stay high HP, because if he ever gets me low HP, it's just winning for him, right? I don't really deal that much damage to him. So he does have bone plating. Very good trading there. You see how I use my W to dodge out on his Q, and I then still get the damage off onto him. So that was quite good. Okay, looks like he gets up a little bit of the slow push. We get a bit of damage back onto him, so this was honestly not too bad. And we move forward because I saw in his posturing that he was about to throw his Q. We're going to keep this one main alive. And now the wave stacks up closer towards my side, which means that I'm going to grab level 2 up. And since he is disrespecting, I take a good quality trade. Could have maybe all in them here and with Ignite. Potentially. We don't have to. So we're in a strong position right now. Very strong position. We're going to be popping some pots. And I think at level 3, I'm going to look to maybe all in him here. Nice trading, proccing off the bone plating. We need 2 melee minions to die, and that's when we can send it. Pretty hard. I'm gonna maybe use this cannon as a bit of a bait. Spot Jarvan there. Gotta make sure his W keeps procced. Probably going to reset TP back. It's fine with me. So I'm just going to look to hard push these minions here. Got the wave out just on time. I cannot contest that. Do you think it's clear from my jungle that we can't contest that? It may not be. He might sneak it before he gets here, but that would be like giga lucky, right? I think we're giga lucky here. He's gonna run into the Galio. Oh, he dove top. Sure. Soraka top lane, baby. Go to pick. Not too bad. We dodged out on his W. So that was good. Weaving in some out attacks. I'm winning all the trading minigames. You see how we're playing all of these minigames where, like, he kind of tries to predict what I'm going to do, and I'm predicting what he's doing with his spells and winning all of them. That's fucking huge, by the way. Because that means that I stay high HP and he drops low. And that gives me lane control. You need to be winning these minigames as Leblanc. If I get hit by too many of his spells, then I lose. That's just the matchup. Okay, we can deny him quite a few creeps here. Ooh, we got his bone plating. I want to see if I can hard push this wave. And then maybe move bot. Let's just base. They probably think I'm going to be ganking bot here. So I can use this timer to just get a quick reset off. Let's get this, this, and this. A little bit of mana is fine. It's going to enable me to do different trading banners. I don't run mana flow ban, of course. I hope he's fine. Looks like he is. Well played. Well played. Good shit. Okay. Oh, he went for the full vegan build. Saw that full combo by me, dealing 0 damage. Yeah, I knew he was going to do that. He's still in the bush. I have that ward, right? I'm playing around his spells really well. Really good trading again. He's running Not too bad. I'm now playing especially on his mana here. And you see I'm really battling for lane control in this game. Really trying to do my best. Not easy. But I think we made it work decently. We see some action happening on bot. I think it's already won, so I don't have the move. If I move right now, I leave this guy off the hook, right? I don't want to let him off the hook. I want to make sure that he's punished for his bad laning. Okay. Ooh, shit. I just nuked the entire wave. Ah, walking Nexus. The good thing is that he's so the HP doesn't honestly fucking matter. I think we can play this though. Just back off. We're chilling. Whoa, why do I no damage? Where was my damage? I thought I'd deal more damage. It's fine. Nice. Let's nuke this. And match base. I could like hold it, but I kind of want the money and just reset. Maybe it's a mistake. Oh, STP. Shit, I thought I had the mana for W. It is what it is. He can't freeze anyway. It's a Galio. Let's just back off. Okay, we got a lot of that on top though. The fact that Soraka moved down, they didn't get anything. Kind of good for us. Okay, we're gonna run back to mid. And the goal of this game is really to play with Diana. Diana is actually quite strong. So I'm gonna see if I can link up with her. Got off the bone plating. We're still up 9 creeps, which is nice. It's a little bit of a slower game, you know. It's also good to sometimes get slower LeBlanc games. Even though that we kind of prefer it fast. I really want access to those caster minions, because I can start nuking them. I think in the mid game I'm going to need to match this Soraka. Gonna slow play this wave in the turret, so the next wave stacks up a little bit closer towards my side. So it's easier for me to access and then grab prio upon. Getting prio on this wave is gonna be good, because it's gonna allow me to potentially move into bolt. Looks like my bot smurfed it there. Impressive. I've got Lost Chapter, so I'm chilling here, right? He doesn't... He might have Walking Nexus, but his mana regen is getting attacked here. Right? That's worth for me. Look at what's happening to bot lane. These guys are forgetting that I'm a Leblanc, I think. Another one. That's the benefit of playing Leblanc. You're really good into high threat. Okay, let's just base. We gotta be pinging these guys off. They might get ganked. And in the meantime, we're just winning, right? Very slow LeBlanc game, but really effective. Okay, we're gonna deploy back to mid lane here. This might not be good. Yeah, it's not a super good. I think they got a shut down here. Pretty big one too. Galio can R. Pretty sure that Galio's looking to R, so I'm just gonna stay mid and hit. We got 3 grubbies. This is good for us. Is it good? No, Galio got too big of a shutdown. Should have pinged better. My bad. Should have pinged way better. Oh, I fucked up my W. Let's see if I can push one more wave then base for my item. My bad. It's just that I missed my first instance of my W onto the casters. That's why I couldn't clear the wave properly there. And then I got the gank squad on me, right? It's okay. And Darius that's been farming top is finally showing up, so... We know what happens there, right? We know what's gonna happen then. Okay, not bad. Cool. Just play Drake. We're gonna deploy through mid. Oh, we gotta back off. Let's poke him a little bit. Kind of want to move into side, but there's not much side for me to move to. Not ideal. That's sometimes a bit of an unlucky follow-up effect. The moment you try to do something as LeBlanc, your team sometimes just runs it down because they forget that you can actually jump out. That's a bit of an unwanted consequence. It's so hard because I can't really move to that side wave. Because it's just perma pushing. I think I have to go bolt here though. And we need to put this Darius into the Galio. Some action happening on mid. Let's look. Oh, that's nice. Getting mid turret is like Giga OP. That's really good for us. Let's move into bot. Oh, there's a lot to gain here. Especially with 3 grubs. That's great, dude. I can't really win trades into him. Look at his items. We don't have to, we just ignore him. They can't reach me. That's a good thing about Leblanc. You can sometimes be a little bit of a pressure sponge in the side. Where you like waste a lot of time from the enemies. Let's just get Magic Pen immediately. Kind of want to swap up the lane assignments, but it's pretty hard to do now with my Darius already on top. Should have maybe communicated it earlier. Well, that fucking Soraka's dead as hell. It's good for us. Wait, she's not dead. Did we not R? Oh, she just died. Okay. We did R. Do we need to defend mid here? There's not much to defend. I think I'm just gonna force them to respond to Bob. Right. It's really hard to defend lanes as LeBlanc because you got committal wave here, right? You need to W in. So you can't stay safe and do that. Hence why I generally like to move like this in the side. Can't really do it any more because there's a Galio around. That guy completely destroys me. What can I do here? Good play. If he went in, I would have sent it with my E. I'm holding my E until he actually goes in or not. Okay, that was good. That was very creative. The hell is my Astral doing? You got the trash though. Really smart pickup there. That's something you can do as LeBlanc, where you kind of tempo trap someone. I was gambling upon them not having vision here. And this forces them to respond to side again, right? No fucking way this guy's gonna chase me, no? Dying there is really bad for the game. It would be amazing if we don't. We're at the point right now where we can basically 100 to 0 someone. Okay, very nice. Let's get Drake. Good Herald usage. I don't think this minion spotted me. I ignore the tanks. And we get ourselves a fantastic pick onto the enemy carries. In this case, the Soraka. Very good target selection there. Yeah, it's always that your teammates just forget what you can do as a LeBlanc. You like go in like that and they just follow you to deep because they got no way out. Okay, this Darius is like completely fucking OP. I can pick up this Soraka because I got too many dashes. Really good trap. We're doing an amazing job in this mid game with being at the right place at the right time. Very nice. Very nice. This secured us the neutral. I'm pretty sure someone was here. I'm just gonna clear this top wave. It's a bit awkward that my Diana is in base. Well, I'm just gonna match the base then. My Diana's farming at a time where we should siege. But if she's not doing it, then makes no sense for me to stay, right? Would be nice if we don't full clear now and actually just play the game. We wasted a shit ton of our Baron. I think versus the enemy comp, we can probably try 1-3-1. We've got a lot of self-peel in our team. We got dashes on Ezreal and me. And Darius is just insanely OP right now, so I think we're chilling. They're answering to bot. Which means that I can probably force them to respond on top as well. Or just take a bit of third damage. Good already. Very nice. And now they need to respond to the Darius again. Good spell usage there. We can't like full send it here because I don't have my Darius, which is the strongest member, is not here, right? Got the cannon. Okay, let's play on Drake. Really good trap again. And we see that by trapping enemies like that, you can get yourself amazing tempo positions. Oh, that's the thing with Soraka top. You do give the enemy top a free game. And Darius had a pretty free game. Honestly, pretty good game, man. I really like my mid game here in this game. I think that we did a really good job with where we were on this map. And that leads us to in a great position where we got a lot of consistent, good quality picks. And this is something that Leblanc is all about, right? So, this was very nice. Really good game. GG, well played.